Welcome back, tribe. Going here from the good doctor. All men are incels. The bitter truth.
I'm Dr. Orion Taraban, and this is Psych Better Living Through Psychology. And the topic of today's short talk is All Men Are Incels.
Technically.
Obviously a provocative title, but I do think I can make a strong argument in its defense. Let's get to it. In case you've been living under a rock, incel is short for involuntarily celibate. Basically, an incel is a man who wants to have sex, but can't seem to find a willing participant. While I don't think the term was originally derogatory, it's definitely used as a pejorative today, especially by women. In fact, it seems as though every man women disagree with these days is either an incel or a misogynist. Or both, I suppose. They might not be mutually exclusive. In any case, it's generally not meant as a compliment. Now, leaving aside the wondrous coincidence that the only men who disagree with women happen to be hateful and or unattractive, I must admit that I find the use of this term, incel, absolutely baffling as an insult. And it really only takes a little bit of effort to understand why. While it's clearly the case that some men are more attractive than others, no man who has ever existed has been universally attractive to women at all times.
This is so true. I was going to go with this part. My theory was going to be this, that on a technical level, every single man is an incel because every single man is involuntarily celibate. Every man wants to get laid. He just has to find a woman that wants to have sex with him. So even Chads technically are incels until they finally get a woman to sleep with them. Some guys manage to get multiple women to sleep with them, so you're no longer involuntarily celibate. But it still requires you, no matter how attractive you are as a man, to game a woman, to convince her to have sex with you, to find you attractive, to all this stuff. Sure, it's on a scale. Hotter guys have easier times. And so inceldom is on a scale by default as more or less women choose you. Now, what he's getting at is a nice nuance because no matter how attractive you are, a girl could still find you unattractive. Like you could be conventionally attractive as a guy, complete stud, but for some reason, maybe it's your skin color, maybe it's your hair color, maybe something about your face. It doesn't matter. It's something that a certain woman that you could be talking to at that point doesn't find attractive or is not into. Or she might not be in the mood. Maybe she does like you, but is like damaged or just came off a relationship. So like emotional state matters too. You know, the state of her mind psychologically, is she ready to even say open her legs or open herself up in general to a guy? Because my mantra when going out, I figured this out. In order for you to get laid, the law of the land in the universe is essentially right guy, right time, right place. So, for example, if you go out to a bar or a nightclub, you've got right place down. And then right guy, right time, well, you went to the bar at night. That's the right time where women are looking to get laid. So, essentially, after going to a bar or a club, you only need to satisfy the last tenant is right guy. Some guys are always the right guy most of the time. But the nuance is it might not be the right time or it might not be the right place. So even if she's attracted to you and genuinely, the timing could be off. I've noticed this when I went out to bars, the girls were all over me, but there's something in their head that was just stopping them from going the last mile. Or, she wasn't ready to open up that way. Or whatever it is, man, the psychological toll of whatever somebody's dealing with in their personal lives, even though they want you. So you could be the Chad and you could have everything going for you and you meet a chick or a couple of chicks and you want to get laid and you still could go on a dry spell, potentially, because the timing was off, although you qualify as the guy. That's what I learned in all the years of like partying, clubbing, being a degenerate in hookup culture and all that shit was that I've developed that system. Like, how do you maximize for being the right guy at the right time at the right place? And that's essentially once those get satisfied, you're in.
Even Greek mythology is full of stories of gods being turned down by mortal women. And this means that every man, irrespective of how handsome or famous or powerful or charming he might be, has been frustrated in his sexual desire at some point in his life. Even the most successful Casanovas don't bat 1,000 100% of the time. In fact, if there is a single experience that binds together all men of all cultures, it is having one's sexual interest rebuffed. And in that moment, that man is an incel. He wants to have sex, but he doesn't have a willing partner. While unattractive men might experience this more frequently, even the most attractive men cannot have sex whenever they want, however they want, with whomever they want. If such a thing is possible, it is a privilege that only beautiful women enjoy. In any case, it doesn't take a genius to understand that when a man's sexual interest is rebuffed, there are really only two possible outcomes. Either the man is going to be, at least with respect to that relationship, involuntarily celibate, or the woman is going to be, shall we say, involuntarily sexual. Like, those are the only two options. And I think we're all going to agree that the first outcome is preferable to the second. Given this understanding, I can't wrap my head around the impulse to denigrate those who choose to uphold the first option. Like it or not, when a man is involuntarily celibate, what is he necessarily doing? Well, among other things, he is acknowledging the right of a woman to consent to sex, and he is respecting the foundations of civil society. He is choosing to frustrate his will rather than impose it on another. And we're like collectively agreeing that that is something to be mocked and derided? Because that is the real difference between men. The distinction does not come down to those who are rebuffed and those who aren't. As I've already said, the latter class of men don't exist. But to those who are governed by law and human decency and those who aren't. Like, if there has ever been a man who has never been an incel, it was probably Genghis Khan. And that's not because no woman ever told him no. I'll say that again in a slightly different way. The reason Genghis Khan might not have been an incel was not because women found him universally attractive. It's because he didn't take no for an answer. Let that sink in. But disparaging those who choose not to violate others is very, very stupid. And this is a choice. This isn't a topic that's very comfortable to discuss, but it is one that we benefit from remembering from time to time. You may have heard that women are the gatekeepers of sex. I've said it myself on this channel. However, the part that isn't often said is that women are the gatekeepers of sex by convention. Women are not naturally endowed with that privilege. It is not in their nature or in their biology to unilaterally prevent sex from occurring in the event that they don't want it. If it were, then non-consensual sex literally wouldn't be possible. From a physical perspective, a woman's body, like any person's body, is, as
you're trying to get canceled saying you can't tell you can't tell them that, dude. Careful.
Epictetus would say, subject to a superior force. And when it comes to physical force, the average man is more powerful than the average woman. All of this is to say that women are not the gatekeepers of sex by nature. They are the gatekeepers of sex by convention. They are the gatekeepers of sex because we've gotten together as a society by creating a structure of order and establishing a system of laws. And the basis of this social contract is fundamentally the voluntary surrender of certain natural rights in return for protection against those same rights being enacted against us. This is Hobbes's Leviathan, and it is the only legitimate basis of civil society. And we've agreed that no woman should be made to have sex against her will because, I suppose, among other things, we wouldn't enjoy the same experience being foisted upon us. So, when someone in possession of superior natural force is frustrated in his desire and chooses to abide in the frustration of his will instead of forcing his will on another, then congratulations, we have civilization, okay? He may not like it in the moment, but he is choosing to respect the law and the woman's right to choose. which is what we want him to do. But rather than praise his restraint or sympathize with his frustration or, I don't know, simply pass over the situation without comment, we've somehow agreed that this man is a creepy loser? Like, make it make sense, people.
Because they look at men as defective, as everything wrong with society. Men are toxic, and it's a man's fault that the world is falling apart. In a technical way, yes, weak men, made the world that we're living in. All the simps that we see, all the porn addicts, all the guys that are basically getting walked all over, have no self-esteem, no morals or values when it comes to getting laid. The degeneracy in general. That part's true, technically, but that lumps in a bunch of innocent men, the average guy that would like to be married, that would like to have a wife, that would like to lead a family, that would treat a woman well and would do his best to make her happy, to, the happy wife, happy life bullshit that we all got sold. And then we had to snap out of because women were taking advantage of it and were predatory against men. This kind of stuff, every man wants. But for the ones that are getting lumped in with the bad guys, there's nothing they can do. You're guilty by association of what's in between your legs. So praising a guy for not being a complete animal and just like forcing himself on women, or just anything in general positive that a man tries to do, that he is civil, that he upholds himself at another level morally, none of that matters because you're evil by design, because you're a man. You deserve no praise. That is why they even clown on guys that take their own life, right? They hit end game. And then they praise and say, good, another one gone, good riddance, like the radical side of feminism. But it's not a small voice in the community. It's actually very loud. And there's a very large amount of them that actually support. You know how the left says silence is violence? That silence means you accept what's happening. A lot of women, unfortunately, are silent when it comes to the radical feminists because they benefit on a fundamental level and will never step up to go against the sisterhood, to fight for real equality for men that are hurting in the system. That is why I tell guys, listen, dude, no one's coming to save you. Society will never give you a handout, and no one cares that you're in pain and you're struggling. Nobody, absolutely nobody will have any mercy or pity on you. That is why you have to align your mind, body, and spirit. You have to make your body strong, your mind strong, and be spiritually awakened on your path and your mission in life, because there will be no help for you, unfortunately. That's just the nature of the game. We are disposable. We're meant to die in war. We're meant to fight to protect. We're meant to sacrifice for women and children, because that's what it took for human civilization to get to where we've gotten, to create society, safety. But unfortunately, people take that safety for granted today, especially women. So now that they're bored, they're safe, life is easy. You don't have to fight off fucking apex predators. You don't die from a simple disease. You're safe to go to sleep and waste away in your cushioned life here in the Western world. Now that we've gotten so soft and so comfortable, women demand the next thing, which is all of men's heads as a collective, because, CIA propaganda with feminism. But that's a whole different topic for a whole nother video.
Listen to me very carefully. If there is a recipe for making someone villainous, it is precisely this: punish him for doing the right thing. And that's precisely what we're doing when we mock these men. I do not advise disparaging people for following the law and respecting the rights of others. We don't have to celebrate these people just for following the law, but insulting them for doing so is the height of stupidity. Imagine a businessman who sells luxury goods insulting a crowd of people standing out front of his store for being too poor to buy his products. Ha! You pathetic losers! You'll never be able to afford anything nice. How do you think that would go over? Now, I don't think people should steal. I don't think people should riot. But I think we can all agree that that man is either absolutely oblivious or tempting fate in a very foolish way. It's kind of like Marie Antoinette saying, well, let them eat cake. And we all know how that ended up for her. Again, all men are incels at some point. It's not just the unattractive ones. Look at the media. Every day, it seems as though another rich and famous and handsome and powerful man is accused of non-consensual sex. Most likely because he felt his status entitled him to sex, and he believed he could violate the social construct without consequence. Women can and absolutely do turn down attractive men as well. But insulting the men who abide in that frustration instead of imposing their will on women is as stupid as it is tasteless. That's my take. What do you?
Mm-hmm. I always found it contradictory that women will call a man an incel. The same women I would assume will not like men to use women just for sex, but they'll insult a man for his inability to use women for sex. Yeah, it's contradictory. Definitely. If you think about it, incel is just a politically charged version of the word virgin, which used to be an insult before incel existed. Yeah. This is something so fundamental to the male experience. So, of course, women have no freaking clue. Born to be a hopeless romantic, forced to master detachment and becoming numb. It's a long process of adaptation. It is indeed. And you'll find out just how awful they can be once you sleep with enough. You see their true nature.